Welcome to Brightly Radiant Being, the show that wildly recognizes, encourages, and invests in the radiance we all carry so you can shine your brightest. Each episode, we use our good and bad experiences, friendship, and passions to inspire thought-provoking conversation and soul-driven advice. This season, we'll travel from the fool's journey to the hero's adventure to better help you create a life worth living and step more brightly into yourself, inch by inch.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Ugh,
How are you?
I don't know. How are you?
Honestly, sorry, I'm messing with my camera here. I don't know either. I don't know either. And I don't like it. It's a weird feeling. I have a very weird feeling. It's like, I feel like it came on slowly this last week. I also feel like this has happened to me before, and that potentially we've talked about this before in the show. But it feels like a possible transformative time, but a really strictly on a need to know basis transformative time. And apparently
Like
I don't
you
need
don't
to
get need to
know.
know.
Yeah, I don't need to know.
Oh,
So today, I literally, okay, let me back up. We're not recording on the day we typically record. And part of that was because I was so busy when on the day that we typically record. I was really busy with my day job, and I knew I would have to be working late. But plus, how was I going to sit in front of a camera and a microphone and talk about what we would potentially be talking about and be feeling so blah inside? Like, how could I do that? And so luckily, I reached out to you, Tracy, and just said, I am slammed. I did not share with you that also I was feeling just not myself.
I had a feeling because I ask all the time. I'm the first to be like, I'm not feeling it today. I can't put on a face for this. It's not like you to say, hey, I can't do this. Even if you're really busy, you usually try and make it happen.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling something was going on. So I'm glad that you did. Are you feeling better today? Differently, at least? More-
Yeah, that's a really good, you know what? That's a really good question. I like that you changed it from better to at least maybe differently.
Different?
Yeah, and I think I do feel different today, not so blah, although this morning it wasn't that great either. But I think because I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is this? I'm questioning it, I'm being curious with it.
Hmm.
And so the weird thing is that I was going to do this on transformation myths, like myths that sort of have big transformations in them. And I realized I'll go through my own effing transformation, but like I said, I don't know what it is. And it got me thinking, like, first of all, sometimes you just want it to be like, here's this outside force coming in and bam, you're, transformed, right? Like, here's your dress, Cinderella. Here's
I was just gonna say
here's
bibbity
your
boppity boo.
carriage. Exactly. Exactly. I gotta take this hat off. As much as I love the hat, I can't stand it going in and out. Sorry, people who
I was
aren't
like, it
watching
plays
on.
well for radio.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, okay,
Um,
wait.
yeah,
Could I pause for a second?
of
So,
course.
change, I say this all the time on the show. We like the change we implement ourselves, right? And we typically
Yes, yes.
don't like other change. But transformation is uncomfortable no matter who the initiator is.
Yeah.
And it
Mhm.
whether we know what's going on or not, you're absolutely right. Like just wanting this outside source, whatever you believe in, somebody else, a fairy godparent, whatever, to just be like,
Yeah,
like, here you go, and
yeah,
it's done. I think is such a valid experience or a valid want. especially when you don't know what's going on. Because transformation, we talk about like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it turns to
It's goo.
goo. It is.
Believe me, I've had that in my head for like a week where I'm like, I'm fucking goo.
Is that what I was gonna say? So like when we're talking about like what you're feeling and that you feel like something is coming, that transformation is coming, it wasn't just like you woke up in a bad mood on Friday and like maybe work didn't go super well and you were stressed. It wasn't just that. It's like this
No.
feeling that something is like a shoe's about to drop, right?
It does feel like that, but it also feels like a shoe is about to drop, and it feels like it's a shoe that I desperately don't want to drop, but I don't know what shoe that is. Like, that's how it feels to me. But also it feels like there's some grief in there, and I don't know what I'm grieving.
Are you
There
pre-grieving?
is maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm honestly, Tracy, that's a really good question. Maybe I am. Maybe there's something in me that's like, I've already skipped ahead and I know what's happening, and now you're feeling it today without knowing why I'm grieving. So there's like this sadness, this grief. And then there's like a disconnect as well. There's a little bit of a disconnect where it's like, I don't care about that thing. And
Okay.
it's not yeah, go ahead.
Well, let's say this is not to like belittle, but I know you won't think this because you believe in it, but this is where like I feel like astrology hits the nail on the head sometimes, where it's a
So what's
collective
happening right
experience of
now?
energies, because
Yeah.
I'm probably 2 weeks ahead of you on some of these things. And I think I may brought it up in one of the past shows that like I was just journaling all angry as like the person who got me to where I am, mad that I have to go away now because this next new thing is a different version of Tracy. And like,
Wow.
I
You
got us
think
here.
I'm mad? Am I mad at me?
Yeah. So, like, I mean, when you look at those stages of grieving, which I know that they're usually meant from the perspective of someone who's dying, not, necessarily someone who's losing something, but there's anger in grief. And I mean, in change, there's usually like annoyance and frustration. I wasn't the initiator and now like my life's uncomfortable, but what transformation, that's loss, right? Like that's a serious loss, that how things were are not how they are going to be anymore. It's not just a new routine, not just a new person in your life. It is like upheaval.
So the other thing that I was thinking about today too is when we want that transformation, I was thinking about like being a kid and wanting to be older and not realizing that of course is a long transformation, and it's a continuous transformation. And within that transformation, you also get your period, and then you're on your period, and there's all kinds of things that come with that, which
And then
that was
before you
like,
know it, you're in menopause and you're like, why did I ever bitch
yeah,
about having a
what the
period?
hell happened? Well, at this point, past menopause, now I'm
Now
at
you're
a point
great.
where now it's great. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about that anymore. But I did grieve the loss of it, absolutely. But so yeah, it feels different than that too. But when you said, like, what you were talking about really resonated with me also when you brought up astrology, because I was too, like, I know that we're having really big shifts. I know that this is a year of big shifts. We're also going to be coming into eclipse season very
Oh, we're in
shortly.
April. Oh, we got 2 weeks, Amy. I think it's like the 19th.
I know. And one of them is a sign that I have in my big three. So,
No, as soon as you said it's eclipse season, I just got in my head like it's the final countdown.
I love it.
So I have felt for the longest time that I am in a period of waiting. And I only recently learned,
Right.
that Abraham Hicks enjoy the wait. And so I'm trying to like enjoy the
Yeah.
wait. But all of a sudden, within the past month, something in me is like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And I was like, I was just trying to enjoy the wait. I'm not ready for it yet. I don't know what's coming and I don't know what it is and I don't know if I want it. And like, I want to go back to waiting. And like, I spent so much time like frustrated by the wait, not by like having to wait, but like you said, not knowing what's coming, not knowing how to prepare, and just feeling utterly useless. And like, I finally got to a point this year where I was like, oh, I just need to rest. And I was starting to just allow myself to rest. And now I'm feeling like this rush and this wave and this anxiety of like, oh my God, it's here. And I'm like, but I'm looking around and it's not here yet. But oh my God, eclipse season, you're right. Pluto,
Well,
Aquarius, like
yes, Saturn. I mean, all kinds of things, these huge planetary shifts, these generational planets that are in a sign for years and years and years. But something you said when you said, I don't know what to prepare for, that feels spot on. And then I feel useless. Holy
I feel so
smokes.
useless.
I feel useless because I don't know what to prepare for.
So
I think, yeah.
what do you think?
Oh no, I don't.
You were just talking. So I have mentioned to you a couple of times, and I think it's gonna be really funny because I think like 6 weeks ago I told you I thought I could do this in a day, and then I found the materials and I was like, okay, maybe a weekend, and here I am like 6 weeks later, and it's nowhere near done. So I have, and if you're on YouTube, anytime I've had like a spiritual course, a coaching session, a healing session, anytime I've written new moon intentions, full moon releases, anything spirituality based, I've just kind of written it in whatever notebook I had. So like I have these little notebooks that are just kind of like thought notebooks, right? So some of them have ideas, to-do list, grocery list, checklist, basic stuff. But then sometimes it's like a webinar I took, or like I just said, like all this stuff. And so before I throw out the notebook, like I pull out the stuff I want to keep. And so I've been putting it in this folder with the intention of, oh, I should really combine these into a journal someday, right? So that I have it all in one place. So, for the past like 6 weeks, 2 months or whatever, I've been slowly putting them into a nice little mystical, magical golden journal. But it's taking forever, Amy, because I'm being reminded that things that I thought that maybe I've been wishing for a year, maybe I've had a goal for just a little while, 3 to 6 years, 3 to 6 years of the same stuff go, at varying times, different degrees. And so this has been taking me a while because every time I transcribe a page or a month's worth of stuff, I kind of have like a moment of like personal reflection of, God, you're still going through this, or you haven't done this yet.
Work through it again.
Yeah. But part of me when I do it, and like today's sessions where I'm just like, your transformation has been internal. I don't have an external goal achieved yet, but I've been turning into goo and back again several times over the past 3 years, especially, but definitely over the past year. And so it was like, you weren't ready for those things then. Some of them, upon reflection this year, I think I've shared on the pod too, I've determined I don't really want them anymore. And I probably didn't really want them then. It was just the best thing to kind of wish for at the time. So kind of, Garth Brooks, thanking God for unfulfilled prayers or whatever it is, unanswered prayers. But it has like this whole thing of like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Some of the stuff I'm journaling where I was like, oh my God, if this is what's coming, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And part of me is like, oh, is this I'm not ready yet? Telling the universe, no, thank you. And do I just have to quick get ready? Or is the universe telling me it's coming and just deal with your not readiness?
That's what I think it is, because so often, so many people put things off because they're not ready. You hear about that with people like, well, we're not ready to have a kid yet, or we're not ready to do this, or we're not ready to buy a house or whatever. And then all of a sudden, a lot of times it just happens anyways. And it doesn't matter if you're not ready, you get ready. Then it forces you to get ready. And then you still end up ready, and maybe not the perfect curated ready that you would want, but it's still ready. And so a lot of times Also, okay, sorry, not a lot of times, but I'm going to push back on one thing. You might have a sense of what ready is, and the universe might just be laughing behind your back.
Oh, no, and like I'm thinking some of these things requires my direct action and participation. And by me
yeah,
not feeling not ready and like turtle in the shelling it, I'm delaying it. It might be they're
yeah.
knocking on the shell and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna stay in my shell for another 6 years. Thank you. And like I'm not because I'm stuck in the shell, because I know if I come out, the universe is gonna be, as you're saying, like, here you go. I can't get ready because I feel like the universe is right there.
But sometimes too, I feel like it's like you're not ready to get ready until the thing is in front of you. And then you're like, oh, now I know what to do.
I hate that.
Sometimes I think it's like that. So this morning when I was journaling and literally being like, what the hell is happening here? Why am I feeling like this? What is it? What am I, I just complaint after complaint. And usually my journal is not complaining. And then I did do some gratitude because I am still grateful for certain
Yes.
things. Now, this morning it had to be like two super specific things that I could find. And then I typically do a tarot card pull just for the day. Like, what's the energy today? Or what should I,
Yeah.
how do I want to be today or whatever? But I was way more specific. I was like, what is this? Can you at least tell me what it is
Did it?
or what I'm feeling? Well, just a second. And what is my next best step to get out of it?
Oh,
So the
that's
first
nice.
card I pulled was like, what is this? What's happening? It was the Five of Wands, which for 2 days before that, I got the Five of Swords 2 days in a row.
And that
And
card's
then
been
today,
haunting you, hasn't it?
no, it was the Six of Swords that
Oh,
was
Six of
haunting me for
Swords.
a while. Yeah. And then today the Five of Wands, which I don't actually consider the Five of Wands a horrible card. I consider it like practicing at something, but today what I got from it was disorganization and no
Mm.
one in charge, like no one leading the group. So it's like the cartoon. What was it? What was the
Inside Out.
cartoon? Inside Out. And it was like nobody was leading all the little areas of the brain or something. And then the card for what's my next best was the Fool.
Just be okay with it. Just go along with it. Be the beginner.
I think the Fool
La
is
la
saying,
la.
well, I think the Fool is saying, well, if you don't like it, then take a leap. Take a
Ooh,
leap of
ooh.
faith
I was just
into
say, yeah, start
something.
over, start something new.
Yeah, take a leap of faith. So I sat with that. I meditated. I went for a walk. I literally, on my walk, I was listening to a podcast and then I turned that podcast off, but left my earbuds in and then just talked to my guides. I was like, can you just please tell me what this means?
Did they?
Well, I think they did. And then I was like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. I have to get this book done. I have to get
Oh,
this book done, out the door, done.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, in one respect, you never want to rely on the tarot so much for it to direct every aspect of your life, but it certainly is good in making you look at something in a little bit different way and sort of spotlighting something that maybe you would have tucked in somewhere. And so I think that whole disorganization aspect is, I think it's all aspects of my life maybe are feeling disorganized and not right, something about that. So that was interesting. So
I
we'll see.
I haven't really done tarot since like New Year's Eve when I did like my big for the year.
Yeah, yeah,
I've done a few spreads here or there on like the different like Wheel of the Year Sabbath holidays or stuff like that, or just like energetically when stuff.
yeah.
But like No, I think it was like Valentine's Day where I did a whole bunch of love ones with my romance deck, my deck that when you interview your decks, it tells you like what it's good at and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've just kind of done like fun stuff with it and then like ignored the other decks and everything else in the tarot. I even moved them from my office upstairs to a new little drawer, and I just haven't really been feeling it. And when as you've been talking about like what you ask and all that, I was just reminded around the time about a year or two after I first really got into tarot, I was at a job that was not a good fit for me and just nothing in life seemed to be going well, and I was doing tarot all the time. And as you know, my stalker card was the Seven of Cups then, so much so that I took it out of all of my decks. It was like, I hear you. I need something. I need more, right? It was before I knew about like clarifying cards and things like that. It would literally jump out of decks while shuffling at me. And that's not the type of tarot card reader I typically am. But when I look through my little tarot journal at that time, my other stalker card was the Tower card. And I just remember at that time being like, fine, bring it. Like it was not a card I was fearful of. And it was in every single reading. It was like, tell me something I don't know, because it was so unhappy, right? And then it'd give me the Seven of Cups, and it'd be like, that's not any help for me, because this is telling me I have all these options, right? Like it was just Tower card, Seven of Cups, Tower card, Seven of Cups. And so to the point, and like my entire life ended up changing. Oh, for the better. I bought a house. I won the lottery. I bought a house, not with lottery money. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
But I got a great job. That's now why I am where I am today and whatever. So part of me wonders if I'm not like doing tarot because I don't want to know. Because it's been so good at the past for me. And like opposite of you, I was like, I'll just go along for the ride. Part of me really wants to prepare, and then the other part of me is like, but you're not going to anyways. So like, let's just experience it in real time. But then like I had the most mundane but informative and powerful deja vu last night that like when I saw in the notes just before you brought it up, I asked the tarot. It was just like, ask the tarot, dummy. Like ask the tarot. We have 4 episodes on it from season 1, and it hasn't crossed my mind once in the past 2 weeks to be like, why am I so unsettled? And it's 3:33 right now, so go ask the tarot.
I noticed that. Yeah. I looked down at the clock and saw it was 30.
I know everyone that's listening just looked at their clock like it's 3:33. 3:33.
No,
what?
It's not.
Maybe. Ooh, what if it is? If it is, you better message us on Instagram.
Yeah. Right. See, so you just saw, so you haven't had time to actually ask the tarot then.
No, I don't know if I will, but I should.
Okay. Oh, I'm not trying to like peer pressure you into it or anything.
Did you
just what?
Do it for me and I'll do it for you. Okay, that's
okay, but not right this second.
Okay, but so back, so you were talking about transformation myths, and I didn't know that you had a different idea of the show. So like right now, like in terms of myths of transformation, you know, so we've covered like just kind of like a, not necessarily like a myth like a story, but just like the general idea of like butterflies sure are pretty, but goddamn is that a process. Right? So like transformation can be beautiful, but like oh my god. So that's
and the one I have one in particular that I'd love to share. And then I looked up, there's all kinds of transformation myths, all kinds. And I was kind of sticking more to goddesses. Goddesses have been through some stuff. I'm just going to tell you that. So there is a myth about an Indonesian mermaid goddess, all right? And hopefully I get the name right. Naya Loro Kidul. So this is she's a princess, all right, an Indonesian princess, and her father, the king, marries, of course, another woman, and she's a stepmother, and she's a bitch. I'm so sorry for stepmothers. I was one.
Women everywhere. We just want to be young and kill them if we can't be.
Yes. So anyways, and the interesting thing is, though, is that sometimes in this myth, they say it was the father and sometimes it's the stepmother. In any case, the stepmother in both of those stories is jealous of this young woman and wants her child to be the ruler. So she is pregnant. So she decides to she puts poison in the princess's bath water, and the princess takes a bath and she erupts in all these boils, right? So she's just like covered in boils. Well, then in some myths it's like, well, she was given leprosy. So she's banished from the kingdom because she's no longer beautiful, literally. They don't say that, but that's what happens. She's banished from the kingdom. She wanders around. She finally makes it to like the south shore of the island. And then she hears this voice saying, jump into the ocean, jump into the ocean. So she goes into the ocean and her boils are transformed into scales. And then that's how she becomes the mermaid goddess. And then it says that you can actually ask her for help with a transformation. The other thing they say is that if you're a young man, you shouldn't swim in those waters because she will take you to her kingdom. So there's that to look out for. But the interesting thing with this myth is the whole thing of like, it was done to her, right? So she didn't want anything. It was done to her. And then because of what happened, because she has two transformations, right? She has a transformation to painful boils, and then she's banished from the kingdom. And then the final transformation is those boils then are turned into something beautiful. And so for me, I was just like, okay, that has a lot of layers to it as far as transformation goes. I don't know, like, what do you think about that?
Well, my first thought is like, hey, Joseph Campbell, here's a heroine's journey for you that's not just going and having babies as a lady, but right? That's a little bit and off topic. So my first thought is like, wow, she had her own hero's journey. Good for her. Yeah. But I think it's so, my initial reaction was she goes through all of this and now like she spends eternity helping other people. Like, oh, like someone release her from this.
No, actually.
But it seems like it's her choice. Oh. And so that is really beautiful. Yeah. And I mean, to be able to ask a deity for support through a transformation seems really powerful, to have like something like that, like a deity that's gone through a transformation, right? That you can kind of see yourself in and get specific support from.
Have you ever tried that?
Yes. Oh, say more. You just looked at me like, and no, it was actually pretty recently. You know, I don't work a lot with deities because I don't really know or understand enough about it, but I've worked with coaches and other spiritual guides who encourage it and who have kind of like made recommendations in the past for how to do it. And so very recently, just before the spring equinox, I felt really called to change the altar that I have in my bedroom around, you know, and you usually should clean it and redecorate it and put different offerings up and stuff like that. And I think it was about a week before the equinox, and I didn't even make that correlation, but I had gotten some flowers from something and something else, and I decided to make some offerings to Aphrodite and just ask for her support around love and beauty and like all that's great in the world. And at the time, you know, my mindset was more around romantic love. And then I suddenly like, it took me a while, about a week for me to realize what happened, but like pretty immediately, like my depression around feeling lonely in general went away, and I started feeling really good about myself. And I was like, oh, you gave me self-love. Thank you for Aphrodite. Right. Like, and so, I mean, I'm never super specific in my asks, and it's more, you know, like I express gratefulness for like what I had and all that, but it was just like, hey, can I get your support, you know, and what you're so good at and all that. And like, just suddenly like, just pretty much the next morning I woke up feeling a whole lot different about a whole lot of things. And it took me about a week before I realized, like, oh, that's what you did. Cool. Thanks. Not what I had in mind at all. I actually oh God, I'm just realizing this now. I think within a day or two, I even deleted Bumble. Like I kind of had like the opposite reaction of even what I was asking for, where I was just
Wow.
suddenly like, you know what, like I'm gonna I hadn't been on Bumble for a while because of my surgery and just winter and just like not feeling like anything interesting was going on to talk about or just energetic about it or whatever. But like I took some pretty sweeping movements in my life to be like, and this is done. This is over here now. And I think it was that. How about you?
Well, so the one thing that comes to mind, and this was quite a while ago, this is in the throes of overspending and
Mm.
having credit card debt. Instead of like, asking for help, you know, talking to my husband about it or like a financial advisor, I made a magic box with like stuff on it. And I did this whole thing to Juno, and I had a goose's feather in it and all the credit card bills. And it was like, please take care of this for me. And Juno took care of it for me but not in the way that I thought it would be taken care of. Like, get a phone call at work from my husband who says, yeah, I was just talking to our banker about refinancing the house. And he said, everything looks great, except for your wife's 2 credit cards. You want to tell me about that?
Talk about
Oh,
transforming your entire experience and even where you are today. Like, wow,
it
damn.
wow, yeah, it transformed everything, like our
Mm-hmm.
relationship, but actually it actually ended up making our relationship stronger and better. But
Yeah.
and talk about a tower moment. But yes, so I think I've been a little hesitant to reach out to anyone. I am like, you be specific, Amy.
Well, but I mean, that's just it. Going back to the beginning, no transformation, no deity is going to bippity boppity boo you out of doing the work.
No,
They're more
no.
likely to eliminate your resistance or roadblocks that you've been putting up to doing the work more than
Yeah, I
anything.
love that. I
Because,
love
like,
that, Tracy. I
even
think you're so right.
yeah, and go back and listen to our episode on luck in season 2 if you want more information. But when I won a little bit of money in the lottery, I fully believe it was because I had sat down that very night, just a few hours before the drawing. I mean, granted, I bought a ticket. That was step 1. But step 2 was separate from any of that. Like, that was the night I had a come to Jesus moment about my finances, my budget, my
Yeah.
bill, how I was handling finances, what I wasn't doing, putting lists out, coming up with a plan, and coming to terms with things I was not looking at before that. And it was a struggle for me and I was in it alone, right? And then it was all of a sudden like the universe is like, good job, here you go, and it didn't fix my
Yeah.
problems, right? Like it paid
Mhm.
off a handful of things that just made life less of a struggle in a way that I could actively work on the plan that I had in place. And because I had that plan, I didn't squander the cash that I got, right? I knew
Yeah.
exactly what to do with it and I did it while I was in the parking lot of the lottery offices.
I know that is so amazing to me.
Right?
I love that
It would
story.
have
Yeah.
been such a burden if it had happened in the reverse. I think I would have squandered the money.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't done the work ahead of time. And then as
Yeah.
great as all of that was, it created so much transformation in my life because I had all those burdens lifted mentally from the financial stuff that it allowed me to look for and apply for a job. And then that
Yeah.
allowed me to look for and apply for different housing and then apply for school, right? Like nothing in my
So
life got easier. It
sometimes,
actually, I got way more responsibility out of it.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like sometimes, like you said, they might not come in, something might not happen where everything's transformed, but it removes the obstacles for you. So then you can finally see what needs to be done. Yeah.
You know what's really
You know,
interesting about this working with the deity thing? I recently saw someone say online, if you feel called to work with a particular deity, it is most likely because someone in your familial line also worked with them.
ooh,
Right? When you think of all these myths and these gods and these goddesses, like
yeah,
they were very
yeah,
real things, like how we look at certain religions that are active today, right? Like there were people
yeah,
in Greece that Aphrodite had temples, right? Like they went to that temple and they made ass of her and things like that. And so if you're
yes.
feeling called to work with something specific, learn more about them. There's probably something there.
Yeah, there are some really great books. I have a wonderful book, Legendary Ladies. I won't hold it up because it's hard because I have my
Oh yeah.
background blurred, but and apparently there is a goddess deck that goes along with this Legendary Ladies book, but I think it's not a children's book, but it could be in a way. So it's different goddesses and also sort of the overarching thing that they can help you with. So in this one, it doesn't say transformation, but I think it does talk about like changes or something like that. And I actually think I want to do that
Yeah,
this
I did
week.
a
I'm going
guided
to have that
meditation.
experiment.
I did a
Yeah.
guided meditation in a class once, and like you're supposed to like meet your guide, who's to help you with the thing that the class was on. And like I came out of it and I described the guide to everybody, and they're like, that's the goddess Kali, and that's like both really amazing, but also like given the topic, like you should look into that. I was just like, this is one of the things I was reminded about when transcribing these journal entries, and now I'm like, okay, am I ready to work with her yet? Like both you bringing
Yeah.
this up and me recently transcribing that
I
specific
mean,
one.
Kali is the goddess of destruction, right? I mean, destruction and creation.
Yeah, she's
But
duality like that. Yeah,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
badass.
I mean, that could be some powerful stuff, but also it could be like, okay, that's enough. So I just want to invite us. I am going to do that this week. I haven't figured out which goddess I'm going to, um, what's the term used? Anyways, I haven't
Connect with.
figured out which goddess. Yeah, I'm going to connect with, but I am, and I'm just going to say, okay, I think I need some help with this transformation, at least what it's about, and I will let you know how it's going this week in stories,
So
not
I'm going to
posting
share
in
with you
stories.
the meditation prompts off air, and maybe it's not my meditation, but I can connect with the person who
Okay.
did it and see if we can share it on Instagram. But part of it was asking them for a gift and then giving them a gift, and both things that happened were really interesting in my meditation. So
Okay.
that's something to maybe consider when working with them is like as part of this process, you know, some sort of offering or gift, but like when you're working with them, ask them for a gift and
Yeah.
see what you get.
I never thought of that. I always would think of giving them an offering, but not
Mhm.
asking for one myself.
Yeah.
All
What do I need
right.
for this transformation? Yeah. So,
I
okay.
love
Well, if
that.
all of this spoke to you, please share it with a friend. And if you have time, give us some love on your preferred platform with a rate, review, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us via Instagram and YouTube under the Brightly Podcast or via email at brightlypodcast@gmail.com. And that goes to my phone now, and none of you are emailing us. I know I usually say that, like, oh my God, I haven't checked it in a while, but like, oh my God, nobody's written to us in a while. So please send us a note.
Yeah, send us a note. We'd love that. And with that, we hope you have a bright and beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye.